Okay guys, here's your homework. I just went ahead and filled in the answers for you in case you needed help, and I'll just explain them and you can check to make sure it makes sense. The first part we did in class, I asked you to just label the rhyme scheme on this poem. So you've already seen these answers. Hopefully you figured this all out. Here's your homework then. It's got a little introduction to stress and meter, and it asks you to first notice the difference between the stress in these words. So the same word spelled the same but stressed differently. So you'll hear Vader decided to crush the rebel soldier, and the emphasis is at the beginning of the word rebel. And then you'll hear Skywalker will rebel against his father's wishes, so the stress is on the second syllable. So that's kind of a little lesson in stress. And then they break it down a little bit more and they capitalize the stressed parts of each sentence. Now you'll notice these are not lines from a poem. There's no pattern really like what we talked about with iambic pentameter, where it goes unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed. It's not a poem, it's just a sentence. So they just went through and highlighted the parts that are stressed. Then what they do is the worksheet shows you how to mark poetry, and I tried to show you in the PowerPoint, but this is a little more clear. If the syllable is stressed, it gets a dash, a line over the top of it. If it is unstressed, it gets a little loop. It looks like a U on this worksheet. So they marked it that way here. Same sentence, only this time it's marked with the symbols. And then this exercise, again, it's not poetry, so it's not really asking you to look for patterns in the stress. It's just asking you to listen for. So I highlighted the stressed parts just because it was easier than putting in the dashes and the U's. You can do it however you want. I'll just read it out loud for you, and I will over-exaggerate it so you can hear it. Number 1 is how now, brown cow. Number 2 is a fun one. It's Arnold, so the stress is on Arn. Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's 2 stresses, Schwarzenegger. Number 3, this one I had a hard time with because I always hear the song in my head instead of just reading it. So I shaded some in gray because there's a little stress on them, but it's not the major stress. So it goes, I went to a party at the county jail. There's that one. Number 4 is familiar to you, and there's a little bit more of a pattern in this one because this is from a poem, and so that one says, once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary. So that's how those are stressed. Now this is how we want to do it in a poem then. Look over here where my mouse is. If I was doing the stress and the unstress on this poem, it would look like this. This is actually on page 294 in your book if you want to look at it. And you can see how it goes. She dealt her pretty words like blades. How glittering they shone, and every one unbared a nerve or wantoned with a bone. So you do the same thing over here, and there is a little bit more of a pattern. It reads, the morns are meeker than they were, the nuts are getting brown, the berry's cheek is plumper, the rose is out of town. So that's how you would stress those. And again, you can use the U's, or the little squiggles and the dashes. It was just easier for me to highlight it. So that's how you do it. And then at the bottom of the homework, it tells you to check out the screencast, which you're already doing. So that's your homework. Good luck. See you later.